Welcome to the Network Plus Prepcast, your dedicated audio companion for mastering every objective on the CompTIA Network Plus certification exam. This series is produced by baremetalcyber.com. Media converters may not be the flashiest tools in networking, but they play a vital role in enabling different types of cabling systems to work together without replacing large amounts of infrastructure. These devices function as physical layer translators, adapting one media type to another while preserving the underlying data protocol. In many cases, media converters make it possible to integrate legacy copper-based systems with high-speed fiber backbones, or to connect sites with different transmission technologies. They serve as a bridge between old and new, allowing modern upgrades to be phased in without a complete overhaul. Understanding how and where media converters are used is essential for the Network Plus exam. Media converters are included in the exam's hardware and media objectives and often appear in scenario-based questions that test your ability to recognize the right tool for a mixed environment deployment. You might be asked to identify the correct placement of a media converter in a network diagram, match port types to their use cases, or troubleshoot a situation where data isn't passing between two systems due to incompatible cabling. Knowing when to use a media converter and how it works is a key skill. A media converter is a hardware device that takes input from one type of cabling and converts it to another. Unlike switches or routers that inspect, filter, or forward data based on MAC or IP addresses, a media converter simply translates the physical signaling. It performs no processing of Layer 2 or Layer 3 data. This simplicity makes media converters both powerful and predictable. You can install one between two incompatible interfaces and expect the data to flow as if they were natively connected, assuming the cable types and speeds are compatible. Several common types of conversions are supported by media converters. The most familiar is copper to fiber, which allows a standard RJ45 Internet interface to connect to an LC, SC, or ST fiber port. Another common conversion is between multimode and single-mode fiber. This helps when two fiber-connected devices are located far apart, but use incompatible optical modules. In some cases, converters are even used to bridge older coaxial media, like legacy video or TIN-based-2 Ethernet, with modern twisted pair systems. Although less common, coax-to-copper converters still exist in environments with aging infrastructure. Copper-to-fiber media converters are the most widely used today, especially in networks that are transitioning toward fiber but still have copper-based switches or end devices. These converters allow Ethernet traffic, 100 Mbps, 1 Gbps, to be sent over fiber optic cabling. The conversion includes translating the electrical signal from the copper port into an optical signal and then converting it back at the other end. The fiber and copper sides may use different connectors, and the converter ensures the integrity of the protocol during the transition. Understanding duplex and simplex modes is essential when selecting and deploying media converters. Some converters support duplex fiber, which uses two strands, one for sending and one for receiving. Others support simplex or bidirectional fiber, which uses a single strand for both transmission directions by sending signals on different wavelengths. The converter must match the fiber cable type and the transceiver's capabilities. Mismatching a duplex transceiver with a simplex converter will result in a failed connection and potential confusion during installation. Media converters come in both standalone and modular form factors. Standalone units are small box-like devices used to convert a single media pair. They are ideal for desktop or wall-mount installations and are commonly used in small-scale upgrades. Modular converters fit into chassis systems and can support multiple conversions in a rack-mount format. These are popular in enterprise wiring closets, telecom enclosures, or data centers, where space efficiency and centralized power management are important. Chassis-based systems often support hot-swappable modules and shared power supplies. Another consideration is the power source. Many media converters use external power adapters, which makes them easy to install but introduces an additional point of failure. Some enterprise-grade models can be powered via power over, or PoE, eliminating the need for a separate power connection. This is particularly useful in remote or hard-to-reach locations where outlets are not available. The power method should match the deployment environment and be considered when planning reliability and redundancy. Importantly, media converters operate transparently at the data link and network layers. They do not perform switching or routing functions and do not require any IP configuration. This means they can be dropped into a network with minimal setup and immediately begin passing data as long as both sides are active and compatible. This also means they can be used in environments with static IPs, dynamic IPs, VLAN tagging, or even legacy protocols without compatibility issues, because the converter does not examine or alter the data payload. When using fiber-based media converters, it's critical to match the fiber mode and distance capability. A converter that supports single-mode fiber will expect signals compatible with a 9-micron core and long-range optical power. Using a multimode fiber with such a converter will typically result in insufficient signal reception and high loss. Likewise, converters must be matched based on supported transmission distances. Using a short-range converter on a long-haul fiber run may result in weak signals or complete communication failure. Always verify specifications before deployment. Finally, conversion speeds must be carefully considered. Media converters are available for a range of Ethernet speeds from 100 Mbps to 10 Gbps and beyond. While many support auto-negotiation, not all devices respond well to mixed signaling or mismatched speed settings. If one side of the link runs at 1 Gbps and the other expects 100 Mbps, the converter must be capable of bridging that speed gap, or both devices must be configured manually to use a common speed. This is particularly important in environments with legacy switches, or devices that do not support gigabit communication. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. To deploy media converters effectively, it's important to understand the physical connectors involved on both the fiber and copper sides. On the fiber side, media converters commonly support LC, SC, or ST connectors. LC connectors are favored in high-density environments and are often used with modern SFP modules. SC connectors are larger, using a square form factor with a push-pull design, and are frequently found in older or enterprise fiber installations. ST connectors use a twist lock mechanism and are mostly associated with legacy multimode deployments. On the copper side, the standard RJ45 connector is almost universally used, enabling compatibility with twisted pair cabling and Ethernet ports on computers, switches, and routers. Connector compatibility is essential for successful installation. A mismatch between connector types, such as trying to connect an LC fiber patch cable to a media converter that only accepts SC, will require an adapter or replacement cable. Additionally, duplex connectors must be properly aligned. Transmit on one side must match receive on the other. Improper alignment can result in loss of signal or intermittent connectivity. Technicians must also ensure that connector polish types are compatible. For example, combining an APC-terminated cable with a UPC port can lead to signal reflections and degraded performance. Labeling and identification of media converters are especially important when multiple devices are deployed in the same environment. Each converter is usually labeled on the chassis to indicate the type of media conversion it supports, such as 1000 base to 1000 base LX. Other markings may include supported wavelengths, maximum distance, and whether the converter is for single-mode or multi-mode fiber. This information is critical during installation and maintenance to ensure the right converter is installed at the correct location, avoiding guesswork and costly downtime. Troubleshooting with media converters involves a combination of visual indicators and technical testing. Most converters include LED status lights that indicate power status, link activity, and signal presence. If the link light is off on either side, it could indicate a fiber mismatch, a damaged cable, or an unpowered device. In converters that support loopback testing, technicians can perform diagnostic checks by connecting a fiber loopback cable to verify that the converter is transmitting and receiving correctly. This helps isolate the issue to either the converter or the cabling beyond it. Power issues are among the most common failure points with standalone media converters. If an external power supply fails, the converter may lose functionality without obvious signs other than a loss of link. Unlike switches and routers that often include internal power supplies and fault monitoring, media converters may fail silently. This is why using models with visual LED indicators is recommended. Some organizations opt for rack-mounted chassis systems with centralized power supplies and redundant power options to reduce the risk of individual power failures disrupting connectivity. Mounting and enclosure options should also match the deployment environment. Single-unit converters may come with wall-mount brackets or magnetic bases for quick installation near a switch or device. Larger enterprise environments often use media converter chassis systems, which can support multiple converter modules in a single rack-mountable frame. These systems simplify power distribution, centralize cooling, and improve cable management. When choosing enclosures, it's also important to consider airflow. Passive cooling designs work well in temperature-controlled closets, while active systems with fans may be necessary in high-density deployments. Environmental tolerance plays a key role in selecting the appropriate media converter for the job. Converters intended for industrial or outdoor use must be rated for extreme temperatures, humidity, and physical stress. These industrial-grade units are often enclosed in rugged metal housings and may include conformal coating to resist moisture or dust. In contrast, converters installed in climate-controlled indoor closets can use standard enclosures and typically include fanless operation for silent performance. Environmental ratings should always be matched to the expected conditions to ensure reliability and reduce failure rates. One of the most practical uses of media converters is during fiber expansion projects. In many organizations, upgrading to fiber across an entire infrastructure is cost-prohibitive in the short term. Media converters allow gradual migration by enabling fiber links between buildings, wiring closets, or critical network segments, while leaving legacy copper switches and endpoints in place. This staged approach lowers costs, minimizes disruption, and allows IT teams to deploy fiber where it is needed most, such as for uplinks or high-bandwidth connections. Media converters are also invaluable in hybrid networks where newer fiber-based systems must interact with older copper-based infrastructure. For example, an older switch that only supports RJ45 ports can still connect to a modern core switch via fiber by using a media converter. This approach extends the useful life of existing equipment while still allowing access to high-speed fiber uplinks. Media converters thus serve as a bridge not just between cable types, but also between generations of networking hardware. On the Network Plus exam, media converter topics may appear in various forms. You might be presented with a network diagram showing a copper switch connected to a fiber backbone and asked to identify the missing component. Or you could be asked to choose the correct converter type for a given scenario, such as connecting a single-mode fiber line to a gigabit RJ45 port. Other questions may describe a failed link and provide LED status indicators, requiring you to troubleshoot whether the converter, cabling, or endpoint is at fault. You may also see media converter identification questions involving visual recognition or written specifications. For example, you could be asked to match an image of a converter with LC ports and an RJ45 jack to a description that includes multimode fiber-to-copper Ethernet conversion. Being able to read connector layouts, identify media types, and understand the directional flow of signals is essential for correctly answering these questions and for making real-world installation decisions. In conclusion, media converters play an important role in extending network infrastructure by enabling different cable types to work together seamlessly. Whether bridging copper and fiber, supporting legacy coax connections, or converting between multimode and single-mode fiber, these devices help ensure smooth transitions and flexible network design. For IT professionals managing hybrid environments, media converters provide a cost-economic way to modernize connectivity without overhauling the entire network. On the Network Plus exam, and in daily practice, recognizing their capabilities, limitations, and proper deployment is an essential networking skill. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Network Plus Prepcast, your trusted audio guide to the CompTIA Network Plus certification. This episode was produced by baremetalcyber.com. For more cybersecurity podcasts, books, and resources, visit baremetalcyber.com. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.